welcome to the Keystone Experience. Rob Warwick
and Matt Pitzer.
Brought to you by Creek Archery. Find your passion and hunt it down.
And Hillview Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Remember, Hillview has it in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, we got us a special guest from down there in New Mexico way, Mr. Tony Tebbe from Predator University. How's it going, buddy?
Good. How y'all doing? I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come on here and hang out with a couple of rednecks from PA.
We'll have a good time.
So, I guess we should go back to where this obsession with coyotes started, I guess, huh?
Yeah. I've been obsessed with coyotes ever since I was a little kid in Western movies and that, coyotes howling and what have you. And then my brother, who's older than me, he was a big coyote hunter, and him and his buddies would come back with all these stories and coyotes and back in Illinois where I grew up. And so when I turned 14, I came across a pair of coyotes that were out in my mom and dad's hayfield, and I thought, I'm going to give this a try, and I'm going to try to call them up. So I grabbed a little wooden closed reed hand call that my neighbor had given me. And, when he had given it to me, I'd asked him, I said, how do I know if I'm blowing it right? And he said, I don't know if you could blow it wrong. Just sound like something that's got its nuts stuck under a scoop shovel. Okay. So I went down in the woods and came up to the edge of the hayfield, and there was a hill between me and those coyotes, so I was just calling blindly, and by golly, here they come running right to me, and I shot the female right between the eyes with a .22 long rifle. It was the only rifle I owned. It was my squirrel gun, and I dropped her dead as a doornail, and I was so excited and so scared all at the same time, and I've been, so I went coyote calling as much as my 2 feet could take me. And then when I turned 16 and got my driver's license, then it was all over. Boy, I picked up all the property in the county. And that was 42 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. And you know how life gets to a point, you graduate high school, and then you go to college, and then I got an office job. I was a computer programmer and end up managing the IT department for a bunch of big companies. And then I hit a certain point in my life. Well, that point was an icebreaker because me and my buddy were out calling in Iowa in 5-degree weather, and I went to cross a river, and I broke through the ice and went underwater and couldn't get up and couldn't make it back through the ice. And when I finally did, after that, life was a little bit different, and I didn't like my job. I wasn't satisfied, and decided that I was happiest back when I was a kid, where I lived like a redneck, drove 4-wheel drive trucks, chewed tobacco, hunted coyotes, and so that's what I chose to do with the rest of my life. And I quit my job and sold my house and moved to New Mexico, and now I guide coyote hunts for a living. Been doing that for 17 years.
You can't ask for nothing better than that.
No, you you get to a point where you kind of want to just create your own perfect environment. I have a farm that I bought. I raise coyotes. I record coyotes. I record rabbits. I have over 750 sound files. My sounds are pretty well known, and then I get hunters from all over the U.S. that come here, and I take them coyote hunting and teach them how to coyote hunt, or about how to be a better coyote hunter. So, kind of created my own little utopia.
So, I guess down there, it's polluted with coyotes, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of coyotes here. Far more than any place else I've ever called. I've called in 20 different states, and New Mexico's always had a lot of coyotes. The big thing about it, Texas does as well, and I was actually going to set my business up in Texas, but finding land was always hard. But in New Mexico, huge ranches, it's an arid environment. So if you're a cattle rancher, you own a big piece of property if you make your living on raising cattle. Our average ranch here, they don't measure anything by the acre. It's all by the section, which is 640 acres. The average
Wow.
ranch here is 30. The average ranch is 33 sections. I've got quite a few ranches that are 100, 200, 400 section ranches. So huge land, hunt all day long, never see another human. And
Wow.
that's kind of how I like. That's how I like to hunt. And I've been back east, and I hunted in Ohio with buddies. Um, and they talk about, they're calling a field, and then there's four more other groups of guys that are out, and you could see or hear them in the neighbor field. And I couldn't handle that at all. I've called here for 17 years, and I've never ran into another predator hunter. You know,
Wow.
so
Wow.
well, actually, I did once. It was a young guy and his grandpa, and he knew who I was. He used my sounds, and he just wanted to know which direction I was going, so he didn't get in our way. Um, but that was the only time I've ever ran into anyone else. So I kind of like that
Huh.
elbow room. So, and I've got a lot of ranches, got a lot of cattle ranches that are here, and a lot of coyotes. We'll kill. It slowed down. We had a rabbit pandemic back in 2020 that killed off like 95% of the rabbits, and thus affected the coyote pop. That dropped again. Hope I'm still recording.
Okay. Hey, you're
No,
back.
there. Yeah, you can edit that blurb out. Oh, in 2020 we had a rabbit pandemic come through and wipe out 95% of the rabbits, and that affected the coyote numbers as well. But the rabbit numbers are slowly coming up, and the coyote numbers are coming up with them. Prior to that, we would kill anywhere. My clients would kill them, and as well as I, but mostly my clients would kill anywhere between 400 and 500 coyotes every season.
Wow.
So
Wow. And well, hopefully you didn't have to skin them all.
no, I used to. But I used to when there was a fur market, but now you can't even get a fur buyer to come around. I remember it was a sad day when I took over 300 hides and had to throw them away in the dumpster because I couldn't find a fur buyer. He wasn't coming down. He was coming from Utah, and said the furs just he never even made it to my place. Said the furs weren't looking as good this year as what he's finding in Utah, and so I put them up, tried to put them up for another year, and the bugs got into them and ended up having to throw 300 hides away. And I said, I'm never skinning one again in my life, and I don't.
Wow.
We take a picture and we leave it in the pasture.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Now you said you had a rabbit pandemic.
yeah, it's called RHD2.
Real,
It came out at the
real
same
quick,
time COVID did.
okay, I've
If you
never heard of
research
such a thing. So when you said that,
RHD2,
that like piqued
it's
my
rabbit
interest of.
hemorrhaging disease, and it's like 95% contagious
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
and 90 to 100% fatal. To the point that it swept from the northern Canada all the way to the southern tip of Mexico, all the western states. It went through and just wiped them out. Um, like my neighbor lady, they raised 4-H rabbits. They're, they had 90 head of rabbits and they lost all but three within a week. So, and
Wow,
it's not like
that's
they
crazy.
ever,
I've never heard.
yeah, it must be highly contagious. I don't know if it's airborne or what it is. And how nature has a way of balancing itself. Prior to that, our rabbit population got absolutely stupid. If you ever looked at old films like of the Dust Bowl, where there's so many rabbits, they're like cornering them into a fence and clubbing them by the hundreds of thousands. It was like that. You know,
Huh.
fields you go
Wow.
thermal hunting, and you have a coyote coming down the middle of a hay field, and the rabbits are parting like Moses is parting the sea. Thousands, 5, 6, 7,000 rabbits. You know, so
Wow.
and I was fearful of that. Usually, when animals get to that number, that's when a disease is going to balance it back out.
Yeah, and it sounds like it definitely did.
Yeah, it was brutal, and I think it's still around. I found in the last probably 2 weeks, I found two different cottontails in my yard just dead, like they just fell over dead. So it must still be going around. So
So they don't pass that on to the coyotes or the owls or
no, it only affects rabbits, and if I remember right, I mean they bleed out of every orifice, including their eyes. It's a hemorrhaging disease.
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Huh. Kind of like there.
All I know is that it messed with my coyote calling. So now, instead of killing 500 coyotes the last few years, we may have killed like 100 to 200. That's it. So, but it's definitely picking
Now,
back up.
what
We've had quite a few hunts where we killed 20 to 25 coyotes a hunt.
there you go. Now, what are some of the differences between where you're at to like an eastern coyote as far as calling, or do you want to get into
Yeah, we can get
how
into
you
that.
started to design your calls?
Yeah, we can get into that. The calling strategy is no different as far as the way I approach a stand. The sound selection is absolutely no different. That's a good thing. The strategy is no different. The sound selection is the same. Stand selection. What's different is the terrain and coyote population. One, the coyote population is high enough that every time I go calling, I feel confident that there's some coyote listening. You know, but back in the Midwest, that wasn't the case. Um, so in that case, I don't go locating for coyotes because I'm confident there's already coyotes, in the area. Um, and then sound selection is the same, but that's what's nice is you could play a jackrabbit sound here, or you could play a jackrabbit sound in Pennsylvania, and the guy's going to come look at it, even though there's no jackrabbits in Pennsylvania. Or you could play a
I I think
go on.
I think I think it was you that I was listening to that said that a coyote doesn't like people think, oh, I can't play this sound because the coyote knows that the coyote doesn't have the mentality or what do I want to say?
Mentality.
The
The mental capacity.
Yep.
yeah, to know that okay, that wait, I'm in Pennsylvania. There's no jackrabbits here, or there's no whatever. They don't know that. All they know is something's getting murdered, and they want to come have fun with it.
Exactly. And once guys get to a point where they realize that coyotes don't think like a human, boy, there sure is a lot more pressure off your back as a predator hunter. It's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
trying to tell a
Yep.
story, and oh man, do I? I'm trying to tell a story, and oh man, do I do estrus chirps before whimpers or vice versa? It don't matter. Coyotes don't think like a human. They're 100% reactionary, and I can give so many examples. Probably the best example is a coyote that was laying up on a hillside while we're doing a stand. Don't know if it was there the whole time or if it just showed up and laid down out of boredom. But doing the stand and noticed this coyote, so couldn't get this coyote to budge. Highly intrigued, laying there looking, watching. So went through the collar and just started playing every sound on the collar, no matter what it was. It could be an elk bugling, it could be quail distress, it may be, who knows, moose urinating, who knows what it was. After about the 16th sound, that cow jumped to its feet and come running right to the collar like he'd never, you know, suspected anything. You know, I got lots of
Yep.
stories like that.
I mean,
They're
I've done it. I
reactionary.
went through everything on the call, and went right back to the very first noise I played, and the next thing you know, here they come
Yeah,
barreling ass in to get shot.
yeah. When I
I
change
mean,
sounds, um, I don't pause. I go from one sound to the next. And usually when I change sounds, I try to change the pitch and cadence dramatically. From a high pitched cottontail to a jackrabbit, and I'll go back to maybe a different cottontail or the same cottontail, but that change, that's what seems to trigger them. Like shock gobbling a turkey or
yeah.
something. Yes, sir.
Well, that makes sense. Now, what was that learning process like to figure out that cadence and that pattern for what got them up and moving? Was it just trial and error,
Trial and error.
or just your experience?
Yeah, trial and error. I mean, the days you go out and just start, blowing a mouth call or pressing play on your e-collar and the coyotes just keep coming in, those are fun, but you don't learn anything from it. I mean, they're a fun day. The days you learn stuff and sharpen your saw is when you really um, have to outwit a coyote.
Mm-hmm.
Playing fawn distress in the middle of a snowy pasture when there's absolutely no way there'd be a fawn. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I did it the other night. We were out. We on our deer lease. We got this pack of coyotes that's on the neighboring property, and this old. I mean, I hit them when we got there with just a. I think it was a gray squirrel distress
Hmm.
sound, and it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm playing this, and he nothing, nothing, nothing. I hit a. I forget. I went to a lonesome female howl. And all of a sudden, this old male up on the hillside just started screaming his friggin' full head off. And then the whole hillside lit up. 7 or 8 more dogs started. And I looked over at Matt and I said, get ready because they're going to come. Well, they came, but they came to the property line and stood on the other side of the property line and just paced back and forth, howling and carrying on. And I said to him, I said, there's nothing I can do now. They winded us. That's what actually happened is they
Gotcha.
winded us because they came from where I didn't think they were going to come from,
Gotcha.
you
Yeah.
know?
Well, sometimes there'll be those territorial lines. I'll have. I've got this one place. It's called the Good Ranch because that's the family name is Good. Um, that consistently, I'll call a stand, and there'll be coyotes that'll come, let's say from the left, hauling butt. They're bringing the mail, and they hit a line which is a nothing but a power line in the middle across this big open pasture. That they'll hit that line like it's a glass wall. They stop and they start raising Cain and scratching and pissing, and then finally to a point, after a while they'll just walk away back to where they came
Yeah.
from. So the only way to in that situation, luckily it's the same property. The only way to go do it is wait a week or so, go back there again and get on the other side of that line.
And, and get back after them.
So
Yeah. And go back after them then.
exactly right. Yes, sir.
Well, see, the property behind us, we don't have permission to hunt that. So I got trail cameras up. There's a small gas line that runs through there. I got trail cameras up there, and I trap that pretty good. I set a bunch of sets in there. Trapping season ended Sunday.
ah,
Every day this week, that big male has been through there and stopped where that dirt hole was. He's got it dug up. He's pissing all over the place now. So now he's left his fear of the borderline. So me and him are going to head out one night this weekend and
and
see
hit
if
him
we
with
can't thump his dog. I mean, he's big. He's
yeah,
big.
hit him with like I got a sound called Big Boy. Just hit him with a brrr, and then go right into a fight. You know.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See what we can do there.
Good.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy. After you, sir.
Matt's kind of learning all this stuff this year. He was never a trapper and never a predator hunter.
Oh, well,
So
Matt, welcome aboard. And I hope your marriage is solid, and and I hope your checkbook is solid because it's an addiction. It's a highly, I got into predator hunting and stuck with it because it was the poor man's sport. You know, I had friends that got into duck hunting, and man, the money they'd wrap up in a boat and decoys and steel and all that kind of stuff. Predator hunt was, all my friends. I've never really kept a lot of friends, but two, three friends I had, we were all poor, and all you needed was your granddaddy's deer rifle and a hand call because it was a poor man's sport. But God dang, has the sport changed now? Now I've got like $15,000-$20,000 worth of thermal driving $50,000 pickup trucks, all for a damn coyote that isn't even worth anything.
And I'm surprised my wife is stuck with me this long, because there's nights I'll just sit up in the middle of the night and I'll be like, you know what, it's time to go. I got to go.
Yeah.
She's like, you got to be at work in 2 hours. I'm like, there's enough time. I got to go.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
you
Well,
just wake up. It's the right time to go.
absolutely. I mean, otherwise you're going to be 85 years old, sitting there with a colostomy bag, staring at a television, wishing you would have went.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The only thing that keeps me from going is the nights when it's really windy. I just have found that I do not have luck in the wind, and I won't force myself to go do it and ruin and blow a spot out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had other guys tell me, "Oh, I'll hunt them in 35-mile-an-hour wind." Well, that's great. Have fun. I'm not doing it.
No, no. I've got a neighbor. It'd be really windy outside, 20, 25-mile-per-hour winds. He'd call me and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Nothing." "Want to go calling?" I'm like, "I hope you're kidding, man." I said, "It's way too windy. We're just going to ruin our spots." He goes, "Oh, hey, you want to come over and sight in rifles?" I'm like, "Seriously?" It's 25-mile-per-hour winds. I said, "Are you bored?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "You want to come over and watch hunting videos?" "Yeah." "Okay." Yeah. Yeah, it ain't
So
no.
how did the I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it
I,
wasn't. It was important what you're about to ask.
well, we don't know that yet. I haven't asked it. It might not be very important at all. Where did the idea for Predator University come from?
Well,
And what was your thought of building that brand?
sure. I was living in Iowa. I lived in Iowa for 10 years, and me and a buddy went to Nebraska, to the Nebraska Sandhills, and went coyote calling. We took all of our skinning equipment, our stretchers, everything. We were going to bring back some money hides. They were bringing like 95 to 110 a hide for those Nebraska Sandhill coyotes. And we went there, 45-mile-per-hour winds, uh, shut us down for 4 days. And then the last night before we had to leave, it broke. And then I went calling. I killed 17 coyotes that night. But on the way home, we were chatting and shooting the shit. And I said, what there needs to be? There needs to be a video series. This is back when DVDs were sellable. I said there needs to be a DVD series, kind of like the trap books that taken like the Britannica Encyclopedia set concept or the home improvement idea, and have 8, 10, 12 different DVDs on a very specific topic, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not, let's bring it back to a little more day and age, night calling with a red light, anything and everything you need to know about night calling with red light, or breeding season, or howls. What's the various howls and what do they mean? Very specific. And so you can just add that to your collection. And I was going to call it Predator University, and that was the idea. It was come out with a DVD collection. And then once I fell through the ice and all that, I love the name. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start a guiding business. And there's no playbook on how to do this because I'm the only one in the country that makes a living off of
Right.
coyotes. Um, and it's going to be emphasized on education. So my hunts are not only we could go out and try to kill a bunch of coyotes, but it's educational. I'm going to teach you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how to pick up property, whatever it is you want to learn. I have some national night competition hunters that'll come here to learn more about day calling so they can add to their bag. Um, but So that's where it's been. I came out with a 4-hour instructional DVD, kind of like a trapping type DVD, and that sold out years ago. And then this year, I'm going to fire back up the original plan for Predator University, which was videos about a specific topic and get detailed. But I'm going to do it on YouTube for free, so that anybody can learn specific topics, and I'm just going to keep them, because I use YouTube all the time, changing the water pump in a truck, or how to find the damn oil filter on a Ford, or you know what I mean. You know,
Yep.
and I don't want a 30-minute video. Just give it to me quick, 7 minutes or less on a specific topic.
Yep. That's what we've been trying to do is trying to take like, I mean, we'll run this on YouTube, but like when we do an instructional video, like I did a video the other day just on, 12 minutes on how to set a trench set in the middle of a cornfield.
Perfect.
I mean, everybody does it different.
Yes, sir.
Everybody does it different, so might as well throw mine in there and see what happens. I mean, go out and try it, you know?
Exactly right. And and that's what's needed in predator calling and trapping is I was fortunate that I was a hound hunter also. I used to raise a lot of foxhounds and run coyotes, and then I got in, and then I got into yep. So I used to run foxhounds. I had a bunch of foxhounds in Illinois. And then I got into running greyhounds, and when I moved here, I had 52 greyhounds, and we'd go catch coyotes. And and all the old timers who really helped me out, they're all passed away by now. I was gonna say
Okay.
I got into greyhounds and had a bunch of greyhounds here in New Mexico, and all the old timers who ever helped me get started on foxhounds or anything like that. I was 19, and all those guys were in their 60s and 70s, and that era of gentlemen who would be an open book and teach you and talk to you about stuff, and you learn not just from about coyote hunting, but also how to treat a woman, or just how to be a good
Right.
person in general. That that era is starting to go to the grave, and now it's our turn to pass that on, because there is a ton of young, new, fresh guys that are wanting to learn. They come from a different era. They are used to immediacy. They can Google anything.
Yeah.
So so
Yep.
I think that's a great idea, the instructional videos, and hopefully that you throw out that one tip, doing that trench set, and that video lives in infamy, as
Yeah.
just a knowledge base.
Yep.
Well, I know I will be checking it out this when you start getting them put out there.
Good, good. That's
Get
hopefully
one here.
hopefully it'll help somebody. I ain't gonna live forever.
Well, I'll say this for, like you said, being the only person that's making a living off of coyotes, I would hope that you, of all people, would be able to teach somebody something. I don't think that's going to be an issue from what I've talked to you here in the last half hour.
We've been at this a half an hour already. Holy moly!
That's what it's funny because everybody will say that when we get to the hour point, you know. And usually what we do is we'll do the whole hour episode. Then we end up having to like, hey, we'll come back and we'll do another one mid-season or something like that, to make up a second part of it. But the hour does go quick when you start talking about stuff you love to do. That's
Yeah. Well, and this is
that's the
and this
part of
is
it.
and thank God for technology and being able to do a podcast. Not only do you and I can have this conversation, but also others can listen to it. Um,
Exactly.
this is, you know, like locally, I don't have any friends I sit to and talk about this. I talk about it with my wife, and she's quite understandable about it. But to be able to sit and talk to a fellow predator hunter and share that knowledge base and go back and forth, it's not like we go to a party and I find another predator hunter and we sit and talk predator hunting. That just don't happen. And I think that's typical of most predator hunters or trappers, because those are both loner sports. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a group.
Yep.
It's not a group thing like, hey, let's all go pheasant hunting, or duck hunting.
Yeah.
It's a one man sport,
Yep.
and so it's nice to run into like minded people.
Go ahead, buddy. What questions you got here?
Well, we're going to get into this. He owns coyotes because I'm out of dogs right now, and I'm trying to find me a new pet. So I think the wife might.
Coyotes are a cool pet. We bottle fed. I've got videos of my wife bottle feeding that. We bottle fed baby coyotes, and you know, in 40 some years, you're always out hoping to find a coyote den, right? And 99% of the time you find it, but it's empty. Um, but
Hmm.
once in a while, we got lucky. We found two dens with pups in them in the same year. And that's because I had a client from California down here doing decoy dog. That's another big thing I do is decoy dog work. Um, and he was here for a 30-day hunt. So we hunted every morning for 30 days, and so sooner or later, a blind pig's going to find an acorn. Um, and we found two different dens um, in a week's time. This one had little tiny puppies with their eyes closed, and that's what you want. You want puppies that are young and don't have their eyes open yet. And then I found another den. If they were a little bit bigger, they were, yay big, frisky little farts. So I've got a pup out of each one of those litters, and they will be 6 years old here in a couple of months. And big, fluffy, furred up. Their teeth look like they're a 1 year old. They eat dog food every day. We raised them in the house until they get to a point where they're starting to act and smell like a coyote. Um, and
Okay.
now they live outside. They have a big kennel. They also have an indoor kennel in a building that is specifically made for them, heated and air conditioned, acoustic foamed. It's my recording studio. They come on in it. I close the door. I get even if we got a 10 or 12, 15 mile per hour wind outside, it doesn't matter. I get good, clean, clear, non-echo, pristine howls. And I don't think anybody is doing that. It took a lot of money and it took a lot of effort to try to set up a recording studio for wildlife. So, but they're super cool,
Right.
super cool. The male, as he's getting older, he's getting more and more standoffish. When I have to give him his shots and I have to catch him, he's peeing all over himself. Um, but the female, she'll climb all over you. You get in the kennel with her and she's up on you. And her biggest thing is she'll punch you with her nose because she's so excited. But she'll climb up on you, and they're cool dogs. They're like having a dog on Ritalin. Super hyper, super hyper. Howl 50 times a day, at least. So
And it's probably they howl at everything, huh?
yeah, they'll howl at everything. The school buses come down the road, they're howling. The school buses squeaky brakes, they're howling. I come home when I start my truck up, they start howling. When I come home, and they hear my motor coming down the highway or down the county road, they start howling. Um, chicken chicken crows, they start howling. So yeah, they howl a lot. You can't have close neighbors, but they're cool animal. And
Now, what?
go on.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say they're a really cool animal, and what's really weird is I find since I've been raising coyotes, I do less personal hunting. Not that I'm turning into a sissy about it or soft hearted.
No.
It's I get my coyote fixed by just going outside and playing with them. And then, where I used to
Right.
have to get my fix by trying to call up a wild coyote and then killing them. And then, every time I killed one, still I have utmost respect for them. I pet on them, and check them out and look at their teeth and, look at how their toenails are worn down or if they got any, neat scars on them and wonder what happened to give them that, that kind of a deal. So,
Yeah.
but I do less personal calling. The urge to go out and kill a coyote isn't as strong as it was when I was like in my 30s. You know what I mean? I mean
Yeah.
that's an age
Yeah,
thing.
because I'm the same way with a gray fox. You know, when it comes to trapping, I kind of just if I catch one, I take a bunch of pictures of them and I turn them loose. You know, I I think it's more because our population of gray foxes in our area is really really low. I just did a coyote hunt a couple weeks ago that I ran, and I had red fox, gray fox, and raccoons on there. We didn't have a single gray fox turned in, and I was so happy at the end of that thing.
Oh wow.
Because man, I just put a death warrant on a bunch of gray foxes by adding them to this category, and here I am, the guy that preaches don't kill them.
We run into a lot of gray fox when they call down in Texas. There's areas where the coyote population is a little low, so the
Uh huh.
fox population is ridiculous. We run a ranch and we call for 3 nights in July and we averaged 47 fox a night calling them up. They're covered up,
Wow.
but fox are always fascinating to me, especially red fox, because growing up as a kid, my daddy would have whooped my ass if I would have brought a fox home. Because same thing, when
Yeah.
he was younger, there was a lot of fox. Once the coyote population started growing, the fox numbers went down. So fox were off limits when I was a kid. So it's kind of the same thing. I don't go out and kill a bunch of fox because I live in pure coyote country. You know, everything is on their menu.
Now, what's the recording process like? Do you just have microphones around the building, or
No,
because you just can't get them to come up to the mic and howl into it, right?
well, one I use good mics.
That would be awesome, by the way.
One I use good boom mics. And two, the volume. I mean, I run, the I don't even know what it's called, the squelch or whatever. The volume on a microphone. I run it at maybe
Hmm.
like 9%, 10%, because the when coyotes howl and you're standing next to them, your ears will bleed. They is so freaking loud, high pitch, like your ears will ring just like you shot a gun. Um, and so that's why when I'm calling, I don't think twice about ramping that volume up, because I've been there, done that. Coyotes are really, really freaking loud when you're next to them. Um, but so I don't have to get real close. I do get some. Sometimes I'll get that close when I get some of that whimpering sounds, that real soft breathing stuff. But from the howling perspective, I mean, they're probably just 6, 8 foot away from me when they're howling. I've got a couple processes. One, I'll bring them in, especially during breeding season when he's really pursuing her. I'll bring him inside the recording studio. Otherwise, what I'll do, how I'll catch a lot of my howls, is my recording equipment is triggered to go off automatically and start recording based at a certain decibel level. So as soon as they start howling, it'll record, and it's already got a pre-recording of the first 5 seconds of that. So it's kind of like checking your traps. I'll go out in the morning and check. It's like, oh, hey, it's going to be a super calm night tonight. I'll get the recording equipment all set up, and then it's like checking your traps in the morning. I check and I'm like, holy crap, I got 10 different recordings. You know, or sometimes there's
Okay.
only one all night long, and then you go through and start. Then you go through like video editing. You start going through and editing sounds, and well, that one's no good. Oh, that one's no good. Oh, here's a good clean one. Yeah. That's way different than recording prey distress, rabbits, catching rabbits. That's a lot different. Then you're in the field. My wife's carrying the light. I'm carrying the equipment, and we're catching a rabbit. And then I got the recording equipment already going. I got a big boom mic already out, because I want to capture that first squeal when you grab a rabbit with your hand. Rah! It screams. It'll never do that sound ever again in its life. And so yeah, my recordings are long. My longest one, Jackrabbit, Die Hard Jack, is 17 minutes long. It's from the minute I caught it to the minute it finally expired. Um, and uh, and I want to get that. It keeps dropping. Anyway, I want to get that full recording, and that's what I offer, for predator hunters. I don't just,
Right.
I don't just catch a little 20-second clip and then have it repeat over and over and over. That's what makes you fall asleep on stand. Um,
Well, that was a question I was going to say to you. A lot of standard calls are 1 to 30 seconds long.
yeah,
You know,
I had,
1 minute to 30 seconds, and I just can't understand that because to me, you got to keep that coyote's attention. Once you get him hooked, you you got to keep him coming. So why would they make the call so short? Once you get him hooked, that little 30 seconds of noise, don't you need to keep his attention. If you don't keep his attention, he's gonna lose interest in what's going on.
I agree 100%. I always compare coyote calling to fishing. Once you get a fish on the hook, you want to get him in the boat as fast as possible. When I get a coyote on the hook, I want to get him to the stand as fast as possible. I don't want him to stop and think about something else, and that's even more important for bobcats. I want to catch their ear and I want to drag them there as fast as I can because there's a whole lot of stuff can happen, between there and there. Like, oh, I really don't feel like crossing that creek, or oh, look at that bird. Maybe I'll go check it out. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know exactly. You hit the head on the nail on that one. Um, I think.
Yeah, I called I called a bobcat in one night up in the mountains, and it was the first time I ever called a cat in. He came to the edge of the field, sat down, and an hour later he was still sitting at the end of that field, and he just sat there and stared at us and would not move. An hour and 25 minutes, and I finally got him to come another 25 feet. And I said to my buddy, I said, you know what? That's it. We're done. I said, I lost all interest in playing with that cat because we couldn't kill him.
Right.
You're not allowed to shoot him in PA. Well, we weren't back then, but yeah. And I've called in black bears. Black bears are pretty. When they come in, they're not real friendly about coming in there. They're coming in there meaning to tear something apart.
Understand.
I had one 6 feet away, and he finally realized what I was. Because I was screaming at him at the top of my lungs to back up.
Yeah, because you never know when they want to fight, not flight. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was my fault to let him get that close because I had my light on the whole time and and I was basically blinding him is what I was doing, and he was just coming to a noise.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think.
Then when I realized what I was doing, I shut that light off and started yelling at him.
I bet. I think the short sound files you were talking, the little short pieces. I think in the past that was a common practice because memory was expensive in a caller, you know. But
Okay.
this day and age with electronics, you know, I can get a SD card that'll hold more than a whole data warehouse did in a giant computer room, you know. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem, and that's why we call extended play sounds. My sounds are quite lengthy, because that's what I wanted. I got tired of the 20-second loop over that makes my eyes start sagging in the middle of a stand. Um, but somebody was telling me the other day about some sound producer, um, whose their sound was 7 seconds long, and if you wanted to, it was a howl. And if you wanted to get the other howls that go with it to kind of tell a set of like a 2 minute recording, you had to buy the other seven howls. So that's kind of nickel and diamond people, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I downloaded some of yours, and yours, I like the blocks, the set that you call them. You buy the
Oh,
whole set,
the full
you
stands.
know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Buy the whole thing. And I'm happy with them.
yeah, the full stands, and that comes from years and years of people asking, "Hey, give me a sequence to use. What would you do in this situation? Give me a sequence to use." And then finally, I had guys say, "Hey, could you just give me one sound file that's your entire sequence that you would use?" So that's what I finally did. So that's what I finally
Yeah.
did is I started releasing how I would run a specific stand. If you're just running and gunning and you only want 12-minute stands, or if you want a 30 minutes, if you're looking for a 30-minute full stand. um, and I like them because, especially when I'm night hunting, I could just press play and then start scanning with my thermal scanner and not have my face glowing because I'm spending too much time looking at my remote, and instead of what you're supposed to be doing. We're here hunting, not just
Yep.
looking at your remote like a cell phone. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is now that you know most like I guess the newer calls from Icotech, you can run it off of your cell phone.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yeah.
mine I still got the little. I got the little remote, and my eyes are getting bad, so I got to get down in there to see what I'm reading.
Yeah. The only benefit I see to the Bluetooth is there's been times where um, I've gone calling and I've driven out 30 miles out to a place and I'm like, holy crap, I forgot my remote at home. You know, um,
Oh,
it, so in that case, I keep my five favorite sounds on my phone and I can always play them Bluetooth on that thing. It makes a good backup plan. Or your remote
yeah,
batteries run out, or you dropped your remote somewhere on a stand and you can't find it, or ran over it with a truck or whatever. It makes a good backup plan. Um, which is really important if you're, 2 states away out on a hunting trip, and the remote quit working.
yeah,
You know, but
yep,
but but using my phone as my main remote, I'm not I'm not a fan of that just because that phone is my lifeline. That phone's my if I get stuck or something, I need that phone
right,
working. Yeah.
right, right.
So now you've been doing this a really long time. My question is, how do you continue to come up with new calls and new sounds to keep putting them out there?
That's a good one. Sometimes I get writer's block, you know, but most of my calls come from being on a stand and being in a situation and thinking, man, I I wish I had a rabbit just had a high pitched squeal to it, So I'll just make a mental note, and then that's one of my goals. It, that's why I call them Tony Tebbe signature sounds. I came up with these sounds. I started recording sounds just for myself, um, and then way before Facebook was ever invented or anything like that, on a talk forum, Predator Masters, I started giving them away to guys, and they're like, "Holy crap, dude, this is way better than anything that ever came on my collar. You should start selling them." I'm like, "You think people would buy them?" And they're like, yeah." So then I started
Mm-hmm.
selling them, and those 4 or 5 sounds now turned into like 750 sounds. You know, um, like like what I released the other day is I call it Power Couple um, Pack. It's some new concept no one's ever done before. It's 6 different recordings. All are probably anywhere from 22 seconds to a minute and a half, and they are coyote pair howls. I use a lot of pair howls because that's what works best for me. Way better than single howls, and less intimidating than a group howl. Um, But what I guarantee in that pack is you got 6 different sounds guaranteed to be the same coyotes, the same pair of coyotes. So let's say you start your stand out with a pair howl and they're yipping and howling, what have you, and then all of a sudden you get a vocal response over here, of the local coyotes. They start howling. What do you do next? Well, hey, I kind of want to answer them back, but you don't want to answer them back with a different coyote. You know, you want to sound like the same pair that,
Right.
hey, this is our territory, this pasture, we're claiming this is our own, and if you want it, come on, let's fight. So that's the strategy I use. I
Mm-hmm.
want to I want to sound like the same coyotes, and I'll do 2 or 3 times, and then finally I'll roll into a fight, and here they come. So, but yeah, you get a little bit of a writer's block.
Interesting.
Or you just run into situations, like a starling. I hadn't recorded a starling. I just went to go feed my chickens a couple weeks ago, and the feed sack strings. Well, there was a feed sack string that a starling had his legs wrapped up in, and he was caught in a bush by the leg. And I went to pick him up, and of course he's biting me with his beak, but he was squealing and squalling. I thought, well, here's my recording artist. So we went into the recording booth and now have startled starling. Um, Probably gonna be a cat killing sound. So you look at things differently. People will look at a piece of property and a predator caller is looking at it from a predator calling perspective. A deer hunter is looking at it from a deer hunting perspective. A trapper's looking at all the natural waterways. And if you're a sound producer, you're looking at your opportunities to record a new sound.
Yep. Uh-oh. Man. That's going quick. Well, buddy, I really appreciate you coming on here and hanging out with us for an hour. And like I said, we will do it again because there's a lot of stuff that we haven't even come close to touching on. We didn't get to break down into seasons or, certain times of the year.
Yeah,
but,
there's an endless amount of topics there's an endless amount of topics when you start getting into that. Let's talk about moon phase, or let's talk about breeding season, or let's talk about denning season. I mean, you could go on and on and on. Where the general public who don't know crap about predator calling would be like, you just go out there and make some noise and shoot them, But don't understand the intricacies.
Yeah, if you wanna let everybody know where they can find you, or on your Facebook and all that stuff.
On Facebook,
stuff like that.
On Facebook, just look for me. My name is Tony Tebbe. You can just follow me. I've got I'm full on friends. I think I've got 19,000 followers. Just follow on there. You can always contact me. My phone number is easy to find. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on my website, which is Predator University. My web store is predatoruniversity.store. I'm easy to get a hold of, and I answer questions all the time about sounds and calling and booking hunts. And
he answered me back within a couple minutes when I messaged him. So, well, we appreciate you coming on, buddy. If you want to stick around real quick, we're going to run through our sponsor list and we can chit chat once we shut this thing down.
Sounds great, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity.
We appreciate you, buddy. We'll hang out for a minute here. We got a couple of bills we got to get paid.
Creek Archery. Find your passion, then hunt it down. Hey, it's that time of year. Get your bows down there. These guys are ready. 3D season starting. The shop's kind of slow. I was down there the other night. They were pushing brooms around, which is, not too normal for this time of year. But stop down there. All the new bows are coming in, new arrows, the trad stuff. Stop down there and see Chris and them guys. Creek Archery. Find your passion, then hunt it down.
Hillview Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, your one-stop shop for all things automobile. New, used, certified, pre-owned. Check out the inventory at hillviewmotors.com. Service department, get your schedule online or call and talk to them. They're very nice people over there.
Yeah, they are.
Collision Center, if you've hit one of these unfortunate critters or anything else, make sure to give the Collision Center a call. They will get your vehicle back up and running on the road. Thanks to the detail shop, it'll look brand new too. Check everything out at hillviewmotors.com, and remember, Hillview has it.
Hey, Duke Traps. Give them guys a holler. Bill and them guys got all your trapping needs down there. They will take care of you. Anything you need for trapping, give Bill and his guys a call. www.duketraps.com.
Well, buddy, turkey season is coming up here soon. I know I used a lot of my Phantom Hunter from trapping season and deer season.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to have to get some more off your good buddy.
Deer Pete Dave.
Yes, sir, over at Apparition Sense.
We'll be seeing him here in a couple days because I ordered a couple gallons of Phantom Hunter, so we should be good.
Check out everything Dave has to offer at apparitionsense.com. It is phenomenal stuff. We still have mock scrapes that are getting hit as we speak, probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
With the new hemp rope, the Undertaker, Nightmare, get the inventory of your deer herd. Once the season comes around, get the Estrus, Inferno, and make it a good season. What do they say about Apparition Sense there?
It's 100% lethal.
And this next one, is one of our favorite events of the year. That would be the annual Outdoor Expo at Westmoreland Fairgrounds for Chico Outdoors. It is in honor of Andrew Chico Christ, Matt's brother, who unfortunately passed away and had a passion for getting the kids and vets into the outdoors. This nonprofit organization promotes outdoor recreational activities, giving back to our community, getting the kids outdoors, fishing, hunting, trapping, predator hunting, you name it. The event gets bigger and better every year. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram so you can stay up to date with all the vendors, food, and music that'll be out there April 13th and 14th. Make sure you check it out. Chico Outdoors.
Hey, you know how we know we're getting them bucks and stuff still hitting them scrapes? That's because we're running them Bow Creek cameras. Bow Creek Outdoors, veteran-owned, local company here in Pennsylvania. I talked to a guy yesterday down at the archery shop that got one of the very first Bow Creek cameras. It is now 10 years old, and he still uses it. These cameras are unbelievable. We got the new wider view camera.
Yep, 120-degree view on the new wide angle.
We'll be putting those out here and watch for the video because we're going to do a product video on those. But give Matt a call up there at Bow Creek. They will take care of you. The Scout Tech app, those guys are unbelievable. We fixed the camera of mine the other day over the phone because stupid me and my fat fingers got in there and I bumped a setting that wasn't supposed to be there and screwed it all up. The tech guys called me right back while I was in the woods and we took care of that camera. Bow Creek Outdoors, get you one.
Well, buddy, when you don't see me on the tractor out with you hunting, you're going to find me on the Harley.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the one that I picked up there at Z&M Harley Davidson here in Greensburg.
Yes, sir.
Brand new 2024s have already started hitting the showroom floor. They did a big remodel on them this year. Kind of wishing I would have held out on mine.
I guess.
Well, you're an old school guy. I like the new technology on some of that stuff. But check out what Z&M has up there online, inventory, new and used. Head back to the service department. They'll get you fixed up, get you ready to roll once the weather finally breaks here. Z&M Harley Davidson.
Hey, you know, we ain't had no frost. We ain't had no winter this year.
No, we have not.
So you can't really go out and frost seed, but you can. Get yourself some back 40 seed products. Get out there. Get them on your plots now. That way you don't have to till them all up. Put your clover out there now. There's enough rain coming here this spring. Come hunting season, you'll have a nice green lush field if you frost seed. So look up Back 40 Seed Company. Give Roy a holler. Another Pennsylvania company right here. So the seed's tested here. It grows here. It works here in PA. So look them guys up. Back 40 Seed Company.
Well, trapping season just ended, buddy.
Yep.
So we had to put some of the tools that we use for that away, along with our Duke traps. The Weeby knives are getting semi-retired, at least till turkey season.
Yeah. Weeby knives.
Yeah, they're wicked sharp.
There we go. You know who Weeby Knives is, right?
Definitely.
They're not from Boston. Every time he says wicked sharp, he sounds like he's from Boston. They're from South Dakota, for Christ's sake, and he's making them sound like they're from Boston.
That's just what I hear. But regardless, no matter where they're from, they ship them all across the country. If you follow them on Facebook, they do giveaways, I feel like, daily.
Yeah, they're constantly giving away stuff. And we might have a couple of them coming up here ourselves.
That's it. Check out Weeby Knife, replaceable blades, surgically sharp.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, it is. You know what? The only thing easier than saying that? Cutting through something with them.
Yes, sir.
Check out Weeby Knives over at WeebyKnives.com and get you one of them. We put them to work and we'll vouch for their durability and the quality that they make.
Yes, sir. Hey, you know, my beard don't look like this every morning when I wake up. I have to get me some good products, and that Trapline beard oil products is one of the best products I put in this crazy thing I got growing on my face right here. So you want some of these good products, give Brian a holler. He will take care of you. He'll ship them out to you. You'll get them quick, really fast. We got a care package the other day from Brian with some new scents in it that we tried. All during deer season, I used a scent called Buck's Lair. It smells like acorns. Never had a deer win me or anything. I mean, it was almost like having another cover scent on. Trapline beard oil product. Give them a try.
Well, buddy, sometimes we can't control everything that goes on in life or things that happen. But that's why you have insurance. Make sure you give Kelton Black Agency a call for your commercial, auto, homeowners, farm, and life insurance needs. He offers it all. Mm-hmm. One-stop shop. Mm-hmm. I like one-stop shop places. Check him out. We've worked with Kelton before. We can vouch for how hard he works. He's going to work hard for you.
Yeah.
Check his Facebook page out. Let him know that we sent you up. He'll make sure you have the best coverage possible. So give him a call and deal with somebody that is going to do business with you and who cares.
Right.
So check him out. And we got one more here, bud.
Yep. The Outdoor Call Radio app. Download it to your phone. You can get it on, what are them two things? Google
Android,
Play Store and
Android and iOS.
Yeah, those two. Download it, listen to it 24/7, 365 days a year. Nothing but hunting, fishing, cooking. It is a radio app that needed, tons of podcasts on there. We're on Wednesdays with 2 other podcasts. Wednesdays is live night. He does. He's probably doing one right now as we speak, but he does 2 lives. So check him out, Mr. Outdoor Dan, the Outdoor Call Radio app. Tons of giveaways. Get on there, download it, and check us out.
And follow along with us on Facebook, Instagram. I believe Rob's still got the TikTok rolling. We ain't been kicked off yet.
Nope.
And the YouTube channel. We've got a ton of new video episodes going out this year, a bunch of short form content. And we will catch you guys at the Chico Outdoors event, and we'll be posting on our social media anything else that we're going to be getting into. So follow along with us. Rob, take us out of here.
Hey, remember, shoot straight and keep the dirty side down.